What's up, world? Welcome to the latest episode of Power Spike. It's your boy Digon alongside Dom and Monty to break things down from the world of League of Legends. And we had a lot happen, I guess, this past week. Not even looking forward to what's happening this week.
What's
Uh,
happening this week, Digon? What's happening this week?
yeah, what's happening
Nothing.
this week is nothing from the professional circuits, and then we have ourselves a nice couple of best of threes before we get a best of five final, hopefully of BLG against Gen G. Who knows? We'll see. How are you guys?
Oh, I'm good. I got my yearly hate thread yesterday. It was pretty fun. It was an interesting one. So,
Dom, how dare you not know a niche Sejuani mechanic and then publicly apologize for it? How dare you? What?
yeah,
Dom, why can't you take the L? Why can't you take it?
that's the best part because I think that this is such a good example of like why people hate taking L's online is because if you actually take an L, like what what was the what did I get for taking the L? It's like I just got like a 5,000 6,000 upvote hate thread where like people were just like lying about my career. They're like, oh, he was never good, he never made worlds. There was one take that I thought was so funny because like people get so like mad, like people hate me, right? So like they get so mad they like don't even realize how hard they're contradicting themselves. There was a post I saw that actually made me laugh because I read every single comment in the whole thread. I read every single comment. I wrote like 900 comments, even the ones that were like straight up at the bottom that ended up getting removed. I read every single one. There was one comment that was like yeah, like Dom is such a shitty co-streamer. I mean, this is the reason why he never made finals. I only watch Kadril now, and it's like, wait, so like Kadril never made playoffs. So like if the idea was that like your like co-streaming ability was directly correlated to your career and you could only speak, then you'd have to like not watch. It's like I think Kadril's a great co-streamer, but like the logic just doesn't fucking like transfer at all. Like he's just like mid-sentence, like a fucking switch up in there, bro. It was crazy.
Who in EU? Who are EU co-streamers that made finals? Are there any? That just
I
off
mean,
the
I don't
top
think
of your
there's
head?
many. I mean,
Yeah, that was
Yamato
my
as a
point.
coach. Yamato as a
Yeah,
coach.
okay. Yamato's the
Yeah.
only one that you're allowed to watch according to that guy, and it's not
Technically,
like
he's
you
not
and
a
Yamato know
co-streamer
each
in
other.
Europe, Digon. I was
Yeah,
gonna put
that's
that out there.
right.
Yeah.
Technically,
Yeah.
he's not a co-streamer.
Dude, it's so funny because like if you do admit to like the mob that you're wrong, like if you take the L immediately, like there was no like even like back and forth. Like if you take the L, you get 6,000 comments shitting on you, right? Or 6,000 upvotes, 1,000 comments shitting on you, right? So imagine if you don't take the L. Like it's almost not worth it to take the L because you just get the same punishment either
Well,
way. Like it's the same shit that happens to you, no?
well, what I love about this too is it's like they find one mistake in thousands of hours of live broadcasts. And let me tell you something, guys.
Let's be honest. They don't even find the mistake. Yanko's found a mistake.
That's
right.
That's
Most like everyone who does that shit, it's like the same as the people that virtue signal on social. Like it's like as soon as they like hear it, they're like, oh, of course I knew that. It's like, dude, like 4 people messed it up at that point. Like maybe some people knew it, but the point is in that situation, like the reason why a lot of people messed it up is because you're gonna play the situation out normally the same way if you have that information or not. Like if you know that your R procs your passive, most of the time you're still going to just E auto attack because you get an extra auto in and then ult and auto attack. So you still will do like 2 passive procs and you lose an auto attack worth of damage. Like I just didn't know that the R procced the
the
passive.
damage from the E passive. I didn't know that
Yeah.
either.
Yeah, I mean a lot like to be fair, when this happened, I had pro players message me be like, yo, low key, I didn't know that shit either. But like, whatever, bro. Like, I'm not gonna say that shit publicly
Of
because I'm gonna
course,
get shit
pro
on
players,
too.
pro players like famously don't know stuff. You know what I mean?
Of course,
Like
everyone doesn't know
Yeah.
like random stuff like and that might seem
the
obvious.
game
Like,
is immensely complicated, guys. There's nobody who knows everything,
there
including pro players who've been doing this for 10 years.
there's some like Mandela effect about like random abilities because I remember there was a time where like I was talking about like Jin and people were like, oh, like the reason why everyone builds like Swifties on Jin is because like more movement speed means that your like AD goes up, and it's like that's just like not how Jin works. It's based off like attack speed. Like it's not like Hecarim where there's a direct correlation.
Right.
Just movement speed is good on Jin, right? And what's so strange is like there'll be things that I'll be ahead of that I'll be like right. Like so, for example, everyone was playing Udyr top all year, right? And for months, I had to watch every single Udyr player not know how their R worked. So the way your R works when you awaken it as Udyr is when you ult, when you auto attack, it pulses the damage. You don't need to actually auto attack within the ult. So you can like ult and it could be traveling. If it gets on top of them and you can't reach them, you should auto attack really quickly on a minion, 2 autos on a minion, and it'll pulse like an extra 100 damage. So I watched people miss 100 damage in every single trade. Like no one was doing this on purpose. Like no one knew how the champion worked because no one played fucking Udyr, right? I watched that for fucking months, and then if I make one mistake, it's like, well, he's a fraud. Like honestly, if you're gonna talk about the game, like don't you like you should probably like put in the effort to like know. It's like I put in the like the whole point.
How could you put in more effort?
Was the whole point was that I put in the effort, and I thought that I understood something which I didn't know. Like that's what it's hard. Like it's not like people think that I just like had no clue like about like Sejuani mechanics because I just did like I didn't understand one part of it. So their take was that I was just like I'm like clueless and I'm just like saying random bullshit that like I didn't like research. Like no, I literally like I would have like bet like if somebody was like, okay, here's a question. This is plus 100k or minus 100k. Does Sejuani ult proc Sejuani passive? I would have been like, nope, and then it just would have been like minus 100k. Like that's what would have fucking happened. Like I would have put like money on that shit, right? Like because that's just like how I thought something is. But I don't think people understand that you can like think something and have it in your head and just be like wrong. Like I don't know like how like that's like such a hard thing for people to get.
It's also, I mean, I just from a casting perspective too, it's, you know, co-streaming, casting, the same thing. You are live doing live analysis. It's like taking an oral examination on an extremely complex topic that is being watched by thousands, if not hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people. And if you're wrong one time, which is on a long enough timeline, virtually, I mean, it's guaranteed effectively, then they just shit on 100%. You. And it's crazy. And I mean, you can't put more effort into doing this than what Dom does. Like, can't you learn the game better? Like,
I mean, I literally try. Like, I actually just try to improve my game knowledge constantly. Like, I talk to other pro players. I ask a bunch of questions. Like,
you're streaming like 13-hour stretches at a time. Like, you're watching all the major regions. Like, I don't know. I don't know what things you could do to be more of an expert.
The thing is, I don't even believe that. I think it's just like people just wanted a chance to go in. Like they just wanted an opportunity to go in on me. That's how I view it, to be honest. Like, because I'm like one of the people that's hated on Reddit. I just assume that people just wanted an excuse to go in on me, and they don't actually care this much because Reddit is always like the anti-toxicity platform. Isn't that like the whole idea of Reddit, where they're like, oh, we really don't like toxic streamers and stuff. And I think if like people brought the same energy consistently, with like a Redditor always like I see so many mistakes in like, you know, like Reddit comments and stuff like all the time, not knowing the game, not knowing players, like misremembering things, whatever. If people brought that same energy, I don't think that they would like actually like, I don't think they actually think that the world should work like that. If you make one mistake, you should just get like jumped on and just like every part of your being should just be eviscerated. You should just have to like read why you're like the worst person ever.
That mistake.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's like I mean, and then I even reached out to Yankos. I'm like, yo, my bad. Like I didn't know that. Like I was wrong here. Like, and his response was like, oh, like all good, bro. Like. And then he's like, what the fuck? I just saw like the Reddit thread. Like I'll tweet out. And he like apologized to me like for it. He's like, dude, I'm sorry that this like happened. Like, I hope you're doing okay. Like he like said all these things to me. And I was sitting there like throughout it. I'm like, dude, somehow Reddit made everyone in the situation feel bad. Like I felt bad. Yankos felt bad. Like Gilius felt bad. Vedius felt bad. Like Kadro Reddit, he's like, yeah, I don't like this fucking thread. Like no one felt good in the whole situation. Like the only people that felt good were the people that were like typing the hate comments, I guess.
Yeah, classic Reddit, you know. Well, I'm sorry that you had to go through that, brother. That's stupid, and I know again like... I've hit it. Yeah,
you know what else?
One of the hardest working dudes I know in the space. So like that's stupid.
You know what else Tom had to go through, Degon? Watching Rogue play those games. I actually watched some of your clips, Tom, of you and Yamato losing your minds over the Rogue Mad Lions games. It was hilarious.
Tough, yeah. I mean, like that's kind of what you have to do as a streamer is like when it gets that bad, you might as well lean into it fully or it like becomes unwatchable. Like if you actually try to analyze that game, it becomes completely unwatchable because you just start saying things about like what your opinion of game sites are and then like it just doesn't happen. So there's like no content. Like the content has to be you losing your mind or you're just dead in the water in those games.
Yeah. Look, I had to do my VOD review. I like wrote it down here. I'm not sure if you can see this one here. It says Rogue versus GX. Holy shit, they're bad. That was the first thing I put. And my game knowledge isn't as high as Dom's, and I already caught that shit, and you had to sit and watch the whole fucking thing. Let's get into the LEC as they concluded their final week here of the summer season before we go to the summer playoffs. There we go. Got to get the naming right. Thank you, Three Splits, and possibly a view into the future. We had a couple teams make it on through, had a couple teams make it to playoffs, and a couple not make it at all, as Rogue and Vitality are out. Mad Lions made it through the gauntlet. SK finish as the #1 team. What jumps out at you when we take a look at the overall summer split from the LEC?
Ooh, I mean, there's not many like positives that I have, but I would say that the main thing that stands out, and I think that this is the thing that most people have agreed upon, is that like this format is played out. We're just done with this format. We need a different format going forward. The fact that like there was such a clear, this is probably the worst group stage to watch, the worst season to watch out of all 6, because there was such a clear top 4. So what that ends up meaning is that like, because all these teams are like 1 win or 2 wins going into the last week, teams were like qualified on 4 wins or something. So teams like Fnatic, G2, BDS, SK, like they're already qualified on day 1 or day 2 of week 2 in a 4-week season, and there's like not really anything that they should really care about. Like for example, if you're G2, they played like that final game where they played Caitlyn, Mundo, all this stuff, and you don't even know if they're like trying, because it's like, do you like, should they try? Because they think they're the best team, so why would they show anything when they're already like guaranteed qualified? And then when you look at like other teams, it's like, damn, like if you're BDS Fnatic, like, do you guys like, who wants to win this game? Because if you win, then you probably have higher chance to play against G2. So those games don't matter. Then you have the Mad Lions and Vitality situation, where there was a point where I think you could make an argument after the first game that was played that Mad Lions should intentionally lose to Rogue, so Rogue goes on, because they know that Rogue is a bad team, and that would almost guarantee Mad Lions in like summer finals, in season finals. So it's like, because of the points, should they like nuke their split to like 1-for-1 for Vitality, because Vitality was one of the closest teams to them in points? The only way this backfires is if like somehow K Corp, Heretics, Giant X, Rogue, like 2 or 3 of those teams end up placing into the top 3 of LEC. So I think that there's like too much bullshit that can go on with the format. Also, the tiebreak situation, like still no one knows what's going on in tiebreaks. Think about it. People have watched this split 6 times and people don't know how tiebreaks work still. Like I have to check every single time because it's so intuitive, because like head to head doesn't matter. So it's like strength of schedule, strength of wins, sorry, not strength of schedule, strength of your wins. And then if you have
I mean, that's how it should be though.
Strength of wins, then it becomes game time. And game time doesn't determine, like, it doesn't knock anyone out.
Game time is terrible.
But game time is the order in which like the tie breaks will happen. So if there's 3 teams tied, the team with the fastest game time in their wins, they end up being like the final boss of the little gauntlet that's formed. And then the teams with the second 2 like game times end up playing first, like that. And then like if you're not playing for 8th, then there's no tie breaks at all. It's just not a good format. Like, just even saying all this, people probably have tuned out what I'm saying already, because they just don't even give a fuck. It's tiring to listen to. It's tiring to watch.
So, okay, there's a lot to discuss there. I think that your points about Mad Lions, maybe intentionally losing, are super valid and something that needs to be addressed. I think that it is very unlikely, based off of strength of schedule, to go to a second tiebreaker, which is game time. And game time is shit. The problem with League of Legends as a game is that you do not have a reliable tiebreaker like you do in a game like Counter-Strike or Valorant, which is round differential. And game time is obviously super flawed, because if you pick a scaling composition and intentionally play kind of a longer game to scale up, then you're basically punished for playing a strategy or a style for your team, right? So that is pretty bad. But I don't think it's very likely that teams would have the same strength of victory. Basically, like, I think, you have to have something as a secondary tiebreaker, but that is not really that likely to occur. So I'm less concerned about that. As far as the format goes, I get that this first stage is kind of boring, but at the same time, I think it's it's kind of revisionist to say that this format is not good, because it is in fact eliminating two of the bad teams right off the bat. Like, nobody is leaving this stage thinking, I'm really sad I don't get to see any more Vitality or Rogue games. If anything, we kind of wish that this format would eliminate more teams.
Yes, exactly. That's
Yeah.
my whole point. But that's why I think the format is bad. I don't think they eliminate enough teams. Like, they do this 9-game best of ones, and then like you end up with 2-win teams qualifying. Like, teams that were terrible the entire split. Like, they're the ones that are qualifying, and then you have to watch them play too. I don't know. It's pretty.
Which was unlikely, because you know, like 4 wins was kind of the gatekeeper number of wins in previous splits of LEC. So I think this was an anomaly because the league was so split between top and bottom teams, but obviously it's something that can and did happen. But you know, at the same time, we have to remember what this format's trying to accomplish. And the problem really, Dom, is that they sold franchises, because they have to guarantee minimum number of games for these franchise teams. If they hadn't sold franchises, then we could obviously eliminate more of these bottom teams. We could start doing promotion relegation with, you know, Masters teams, like Masters teams, right? So I don't know how you really solve this. In many ways, I think they've actually already been very aggressive with the format in terms of just kicking out bad teams really quickly after only a few weeks. The problem, though, is that the league itself, as we discussed in our show last week about would you rather like kick the bottom 4 or bottom 2 bottom 4 LEC teams or bottom 4 LCS teams, is that these playoffs are just going to suck in the first round. Like, does anybody really think that there is going to be an upset in the first round of competition? The matchups are SK Heretics, Fnatic Giant X, BDS Mad Lions, and
don't say the last
G2
one
versus Carmine.
G2 versus KC, like,
is actually the closest to a potential maybe upset, right?
Which is 3 versus 5, I think. Yeah, like, I don't think the problem is the format right now. The problem is that the talent in the league is pretty top heavy, and so if it was more spread out, then this format works. But right now, G2 is so dang dominant that they're dicking around and still winning. Like, that'll change over time, hopefully.
I think that the problem with the format is that there's like so many splits as well, plus the season finals. So it's just like you're so worn out from watching LEC. Like this, you know, we've done 4 weeks. So before it was like 6 weeks, you could do a whole split, then you take 2-week break, and then you do another 6 weeks, and it's another whole split. Like, you're just watching so many games that at a certain point you're like, damn, does this matter anymore? Than the team that wins, they lift up like the little shield trophy thing. It's in the studio. I mean, the whole idea of it just doesn't feel real. I mean, we still haven't even decided, like, as a community, we need to decide how much these split championships actually count for. How much of a title is that? Like, the number that I kind of arrived at with Thorn is like 0.7. Like, each split win is like a 0.7 of an actual title.
That's fair.
I would say, because like you have players
well,
that
we won't have to worry about this next year because everybody's going to be on 3 split systems, Dom.
Sure.
Yeah, I was going to say this feels like it's already been decided for us, Dom. Like, you know,
Dom, are you ready for the world of 2025? Because here's what's going to happen: 3 splits everywhere, 1 stadium final per region every year.
Sure. I mean, look, if the splits are quicker and there's like it's more spaced out throughout the whole year, maybe I could vibe with it, because like personally for me, I think part of the reason I get burnt out is like I'm doing these like LPL 4 a.m. wake ups for like 15 weeks straight, and by the end of it I'm just dead. Like my soul is just not there anymore. So maybe that's going to make things better for me. I just think that, like, back to the point that we were talking about with the titles, it's crazy to me that somebody like Yike has stacked up like one of the highest amounts of titles in LEC history at this point. Like, Yike, like, he's been in the league. Okay, so this guy has been in the league for 1.5 years. He has what? How many titles does Jankos have? He has 6, right? Does Jankos have more? Or maybe does Jankos only have 5? How many titles does Jankos have? I think he might only have 5. Either way, it's like,
I thought it was 6.
Does Yike have the same amount of titles as Jankos? Like, is that actually a thing? It seems crazy to me. I can go back and look. Is it?
Yeah.
I think it's only 5.
The way that I think it's going to work, Dom, because we kind of do this on the LCK, is that it shows the era. Like, when we pull stats for LCK, we're pulling except games, like games or whatever. But when we pull like damage stats or champions played or whatever it is, we go back to the LCK era when they stopped doing the champions format. And I think because
which was
LEC is
2015.
yes, and we go back to 2015, and because LEC is the first league doing this, they're on their own. They're comparing their apples to oranges, but I think everyone's going to start doing from the 3-split era and go back and compare that. And then it'll be up to talk shows like us to compare between those eras. But I think on official broadcasts, that's how it's going to work. You see how many it is?
Yep, I think it's 5. He won 2019 spring, 2019 summer, 2020 spring, 2020 summer, and then he got 2022 spring as well in there. He also won an MSI, but I'm just talking about LEC championships.
Right.
So
yeah.
So Yike and Jankos are tied in terms of championships to be the most winningest jungler in the LEC. Yike is going to surpass Jankos this split or in season finals, most likely. Does that sound right to you? Does that sound like that's okay? Because like, I mean, I like Yike. Like, I think he's a really good jungler, but I feel like he has about like 3 titles.
That's
of like
fair.
yeah, like 3.5 titles maybe. Like that's how it feels compared to, because think about it, Jankos was winning for like 2 years straight. He was just winning for 2 years straight everything LEC, and the max you could win was 4. If you did that in LEC now, you'd have 8 titles. You'd have double the amount of titles. Like, it's just so weird to compare it to me.
Someone in the chat saying, I don't think we should compare the shields to the trophy, right? That
True.
trophy was just iconic, right?
Oh, I don't
The
think
shields
so
are
either. I'm just
cool.
trying to make a point.
Yeah. Okay, good. All right. Well, for you all at home, how do you convert the shields to trophies? Let us know in the comments below. We quickly touched on playoffs. Why don't we just hammer that home? No upsets. Anything interest you in this one here, Monty?
Not in the first round, at the very least. Like, I mean, I think the first round of LEC, when after the riot break takes place this week, is just going to be incredibly boring. Does anybody, like, any upset would be massive at this stage with the matchups that we've been given. Like, the real question will be, like, do these teams even take games? Maybe Heretics does over SK. Like, SK, despite being in first place, looked pretty bad in their last game against Vitality, for example. So they're probably the least stable of these teams. I mean, I guess you could say Fnatic, like, Humanoid's performance has been super questionable recently as well. But I think it'd be very difficult for an actual best of 5 upset to occur.
Yeah, but Giant X are so bad.
Or it's best of 3, excuse me. But even
3.
so, yeah, best of 3. But yes, indeed.
Tom, anything jump out at you here?
I mean, maybe, like, I guess the closest one could be SK Heretics, because Heretics, they played better this last week, right? Like, they beat Fnatic. They played another game that was okay. Like, it was better for their standards. At least they have, like, players that I could see winning, whereas, like, SK, sure. I feel like SK is primed to become mega frauds. Like, even just think about
I mean, it is crazy they won that game against Vitality. Crazy.
Yeah. they're primed to be mega frauds. Trust me. SK, I know how SK is, because I was on a team that was pretty much just SK. Like, 2015 TL summer, our team was pretty much just SK. Like, you have a bunch of good individual players, but you can tell the teamwork just isn't there. Like, there's no way that G2 goes into a best of 5 finals or something against SK and they feel like they can lose. Like, they still make a lot of mistakes. The mechanics are there. They've got decent players, but they have an inting jungler, just like, the 2015 Team Liquid roster. So they can't win. It is what it is.
Who's that? Is that Quas, you, Phoenix, Piglet, and Nick Special?
Yep.
Ooh, still got nice. It. We still got it. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
All right. Well, that is LEC, and the format that they have. Maybe I would look, only because they've done it every single time. Maybe Mad Lions getting an upset and doing their weird thing where they always find a way to just work their way on in. But yeah, like that would be my only look,
The
and
thing
that's
is,
only based off
like,
of feel.
it really just feels like BDS is a very bad matchup for that to happen because BDS is very consistent and like they will just beat teams lower than them in the standings. And like I don't think MDK has the individual firepower to like take out the kind of well-coached macro of BDS. So I think if you gave me Mad Lions Fnatic, maybe I'm buying that a little bit, but it's the matchup versus BDS that makes me buy it, not at all.
Yeah. All right. Well, let us know who your favorite matchup is if there's any upsets on the plate for the LEC. All right. Next up, y'all, we have again friends of the program who've invested here in Power Spike, and we'd like to give them the shout out while giving the shout out to a player who's looked pretty dang good so far in the summer. It's time for the Into the AM Glow Up, where we pick one surprisingly good player or team that has done well so far in the summer. Let's get to it. All right, Monty, lots of different places to go with this one. Where do you look at for your Into the AM Glow Up?
Well, first off, guys, shout out to Into the AM, our sponsor. We got one of their shirts on right now. They're doing their July 4th sale, Digon, which is 30% off everything. They not only do graphic t-shirts, plain t-shirts, tons of male apparel, tank tops, athletic shorts, joggers, headleys, polos, anything you want. And until July 8th, it's 30% off. Plus, you get 10% off, an additional 10% with code LFN. So go now. You get 40% off in total. It's a great time to head over to the Into the AM. They make good stuff. We love it. But I'm going for my Into the AM Glow Up, Digon, with my guy, Lucid.
I was going to take Lucid. Damn it. I was going to take
good
Lucid.
One. That's, yeah.
Yeah.
Really? You don't want Shanks?
No, I mean, I was either going to take Lucid or I was going to take AL as a team, but I took AL on like something recently we did. Like, I think it was like a,
well, AL's a great choice,
high key, low key. Yeah, I think it was like a high key. I took AL on something. So
yeah, it's fine. I think you should take AL because they're still worth talking about, especially as we head into the next phase. But Lucid has been really, I mean, it's not that he was bad. I actually thought in the spring split when he debuted as a rookie, his team fighting, particularly on tanks like Sejuani, was quite good. But he didn't have maybe the best synergy with his team. We talked about how the shot calling really wasn't there for D+. But this guy has, I think, come a long way. And if you just watched perhaps, the D+ versus T1 game, you might be like, ooh, because he had the kind of bad Nidalee games. But those drafts were very bad for D+, and they were like first picking Nidalee and not doing anything to set him up. But if you watch the rest of the games he's played, he's been really quite good. His synergy with Showmaker is going way up at this point in time. So I think Lucid is now, I think he's pretty much inarguably the rookie of the year, because you have to remember that Perfect is actually not eligible because he got played in one game last year, and according to LCK rules, even if you played the one game, you can't be eligible for rookie of the year, which is insane to me. Like, you should have to play like 5 games minimum, because otherwise we might have an interesting conversation there.
I mean, people still call Busio part of a rookie bot lane on FlyQuest. I've heard multiple people say this, like, oh, that rookie bot lane of theirs, they're doing things, and he was in the league for a full year. So like, I don't know when a rookie ends. There's different standards for what a rookie is in LCK and LPL. LCK and
Sure.
LPL, somebody will play their first match, they'll be like 17, they'll still be like wiping like the placenta like off their fucking face. They'll get onto the stage and they'll make one minor mistake and everyone will be like, kill him. He should be executed for this. Kick him off the team. I never want to see him fucking again. Meanwhile, like, we still speak about Fake God as if he is some young talent. Give him another year. 5 is not enough. Like, when did he come in? 2018, 2019, something like that? One more year so we can really be sure that he's not cut out for LCS.
Yeah, it sounds like Perfect's getting XU'd. So hopefully he still stays on the team after the split.
Yeah, and look, D+, they've been doing great by their standards. Like, are they going to win LCK? Hell no, they're not. Do they still have major shot calling problems? Fuck yes, they do. But have they gotten better? And is Lucid looking individually very good? Is he this kind of up and coming star that we were promised? It's looking increasingly like he is. So I think Lucid is on a major glow up right now. What do you think about Lucid, Dom?
I mean, I think he's good. I think that before he was kind of like, it felt like he was almost a Lee Sin one trick type thing in points in spring. Like, it felt like that was really his champion. Now you're just seeing him play pretty much everything well. Before
His
there was
Vi is very scary right now in the way that he works with it with the team.
yeah, I think
Team mining's
also
very good.
the biggest issue with him in spring for me is that he just wouldn't farm his camps like ever. Like he would just be like 140 CS, like 2 items at 45 minutes on Poppy or some bullshit like that. He was just never getting his items. And I feel like now he's more confident just playing the role, you know, like playing the game like you normally want to play a pro game instead of having it be this thing where it's a pro game and it's not solo queue and you're playing with all these like really historic players at this point. I mean, multiple world champions and all this stuff. And you're scared to like step over like their toes or anything. And they like want to be like, it feels like now he's more confident to just at least do what he wants. It feels like he's playing free as a jungler, which I think is the most important part. You see when a jungler stops playing with that poise and that intention, how fast they end up kind of like shriveling up and dying. So yeah, it's good to see that he's playing the game how he wants to play it. Like you can tell that he's making a lot of decisions within the game himself, and that's just good to see.
Yeah, you get to see when the leash goes on and all of a sudden they're just walking around and wasting time in the mid lane and mid lane only or whatever it is. That's a good pick. Lucid's really good. Let's see. Dom, who you got?
I had a couple options for this.
All right, let's hear both.
I've decided to piss off Monty. So my glow up is
Bulldog!
gonna be Pyosik. Because he took down T1.
Boo!
He is
Boo this
blowing the
man.
fuck up right now. Like,
No,
is
he was
blowing
really
up
good. He was really good. He was my pick and player of the
smart.
week.
On the world champions, the best team in history, according to everyone who watches our shows and saw our top
Reddit.
10 teams of all time video. So Pyosik, he's just the GOAT. I think he glowed up all over T1.
I love that. That's really good, and it was really accurate. In their wins,
He
he's
did actually
been
play well in
the
that
MVP.
series. I can't
Yeah.
argue. So
I made Monty say it. That was the whole point of that.
What? But here's the thing. Well, I don't hate Pyosik's ceiling. I hate Pyosik's floor.
Monty, just take
You know
the
what
L.
I mean?
Can you please just take the L? Like this is so cringe at this point, Monty. Like you just need to take the L. You're wrong about Pyosik. It's fine. Like
Look, man. I will gladly admit to being. If this is Pyosik's new normal, I will gladly be wrong, man. I will
Okay.
gladly
It's
be
not.
wrong.
Yeah.
It's not.
And you have to apologize as well. You have to apologize to him in Korean. Actually, he speaks enough English. You can do it in English. I'm feeling generous.
That's good. Before we get to Dom's other one, I'll do mine. Mine is Kwangdong Freaks Leaper. We talked about it before, but he's stabilized this crazy fucking team who just needed someone in the bot lane that wouldn't die and wasn't thinking about their victory pose before they played. His
Oh,
No.
I lost audio from Digon.
He
Oh,
muted
he
his
me.
muted
mechanics, there we go. Yeah, his mechanics and his footwork have been really, really good. He's in a position thinking about, you can see he's thinking about what's going to hit me, what can kill me, compared to other AD carries where they're like, I'm afraid to die, and also I'm just going to do damage. Oh shit, I'm dead. Like it's been really fun
Yeah.
to watch his glow up, and then his story is
positional awareness, I think, has been very good. I agree. Sometimes he gets trolled by CV Max. You know, he gets CV Max drafted, but
Yeah. Yeah, but I mean, it's been fun to watch him and fun to watch the Freaks. All the LCK guys said, "Hey, don't buy stock into the Freaks. They are actually like a roller coaster, the roster roller coaster of KT. And right now you're buying at the top, but you know, we'll see what happens. I'm excited for how they play out. Dom, give us your last one.
My last one.
You said you had a couple.
Oh, okay. I mean, I had AL in there. The other thing I thought about doing is Mad Lions. I had Mad Lions in the equation. I think they really had a glow up. I mean, they won more games on the last day than they did throughout the entire season. And honestly, like I thought that they were going to
half of them against Rogue.
Yeah, I mean, hey, you got to take it at this point. I'll say I stand corrected. I said that Mad Lions would be shit at the beginning of the year, and they've really proven otherwise with their 8th place finish, finishing 2-7 in summer. So I'm really proud of them. Squad got together, and you know, one thing that I was hearing a lot of was in winter that was their base level, right? They were 2nd place in their winter split, and they've got a bunch of rookies. So imagine what's going to happen when they all work together. They start getting used to LEC. You know, they've had the experience. What would happen to the team when they elevate their gameplay? Turns out that they have, just placed 4 times as low. So yeah, let's see how they do in their first best of 5 or best of 3, I should say. But yeah, I mean, they'll probably be in season finals. So they did it. They made it to season finals. Congratulations, Mad Lions.
I think that's a pretty big cash in. You called that one from way downtown, and here we are. So good shit, Dom.
I still need them to like make they can't randomly start being good. They have to just keep on running it. That's what I need.
All right. Real quick, Dom. This one. How about Haichao? Like, I went back and rewatched that series against Knight. I thought he was really good when they won. He looked very comfortable and confident in what he was doing. Some LGD stocks.
Yeah, they're pretty good. They're pretty good. I mean, they're better than Weibo. I'd bet you they're better than Weibo. That's for sure. And they deserve to be in this upper group. I'm happy that they made the upper group. I think that with how everything went, I would have been pretty sad to see them just lose based off game score because I felt like they were leveling up as time went on. So I was happy to see what they did. I think that team has done pretty well. I mean, look, for LGD, who has been, I don't think they've made playoffs since I started covering LPL, co-streaming LPL. Since I started covering LPL, like I started covering it actually in 2020, and that's when they ended up making Worlds, that roster with like Peanut on it. But since then, since I've been co-streaming it, I don't think they've even made playoffs. Like, this team has been perennial dog shit. It's been crazy year in, year out. Doesn't matter who's on the team. Team has been bad. So it's nice to see that the team is actually performing. I've always liked Meteor as a jungler. Like, he is such a like LPL mainstay Chinese jungler to me. I love the way he plays. I mean, he was originally this guy who played Gale Force. Well, I mean, he played a lot of different stuff. Originally, he was somebody else, but when I started watching him a lot, he was playing Gale Force Graves. He's one of the best Graves players in China. Big carry jungle. Played on that BLG team. So I've always liked his playstyle. Like, I like seeing junglers that are confident and that are doing their own thing. It's one of my favorite players to watch. So seeing him on a team that's decent is cool. The only thing I don't like about LGD is fucking Burden. Birdall being on this team, man. Like, he is just
Hey, man.
He is so consistently bad. Like, it just feels like he's such a game ruiner, you know? Like, he's the guy that will just ruin any game. I feel like everyone else can play.
I'm glad he's not an LCK anymore.
About like against anyone, but it feels like Birdall can't ever have like a really insane series. It just feels like he's missing something as a player.
He did well against Bin in their win on Skarner when he was on the Skarner side of the matchup. I thought that he did a good job of making sure that the K'Sante stayed out of the fights and stuff. Again, from my notes, from what I remember, but yeah, I was surprised because he doesn't normally play well.
Yeah, he's not been good, that's for sure. He's a really weird player because I feel like his best champions are things like Yone into Aatrox. Like, he just plays random matchups pretty well, where it's not like he's bad and he has terrible mechanics, he can never play anything. It just feels like he always fucks it up somehow. Whatever he's supposed to do, he just fucks it up. He's like a serial choker, but it's not like he's only choking in big moments. He's choking every single game he plays. That's how it feels.
All right, well, there it is, minus the Birdall part. This is your Into the AM glow up with some of the top players and teams that have blown up this summer. Make sure to check out Into the AM to help support Last Free Nation and, of course, Power Spike. Thank you very much, Into the AM. All right, well, we go from one segment to the next, which is, again, a friend that I use and use it here all the time, and I'm very happy to have brought it with me here to EWC. You might have heard me talk about Raycon's everyday earbuds before and thought, wait, the same great audio I expect from the big guys, but half the price sounds pretty good. But if you haven't pulled the trigger on a pair of Raycons, well, or if you're in the market for another pair because they're that good, now's the time to check them out because they launched their upgraded model of the best-selling everyday earbuds. They're so good, and it's really, really cool with active noise canceling. It's microphones that are inside the earbuds, and basically it takes the sound, translates the inverse, and then it cancels everything out. Or you push the button again in your awareness mode, and you can hear things around you while still listening to the music. It has been, or whatever you're listening to, maybe the latest episode of Power
Maybe
Spike.
us. Yeah.
It's been... Yeah, it's been great to have here on travel, on the go, multiple different earbud sizes so that it stays in there for all of you with weird sounding or weird shaped ears. Raycon's got you covered. So make sure to head on over to buyraycon.com/powerspike today to get 15% off your Raycon order plus free shipping. That's right, you'll get 15% off free shipping at buyraycon.com/powerspike. That's buyraycon.com/powerspike. Thanks to our friends over there, and thanks to those of you that have bought it and let me know that it works as well. They are my everyday buds, literally from here on out. It's been awesome. Okay, let's see what else we got next up. Ooh, we got some bad teams. It's time for keep or kick. We've got a Western version of this one. We're keep or kicking between Vitality or 100 Thieves. Oh boy, let's get into it. This week's keep or kick. All right, Monty, where you land on this one? These two teams are very, I guess, well known on what they should be doing.
I hate this iteration of 100 Thieves.
Why, man?
I hate them. I hate them. Look, both of these teams should obviously be better than they are. Both of them contain players that we have been excited about, both presently and in the past, that have had good individual performances. Both of these teams contain former MVP mid laners of their respective leagues. So that's why I wanted to pick these two, because there's, and both of them are severely underperforming, right? Both of them have opted into kind of rookie experiences this year. And what's disappointing about Vitality is you look at Douglas and you're like, oh man, maybe they're like a jungler away from getting into a very favorable position. Look how good Photon is. Look how good Carzzy has been, right? VTO, can he reclaim his former glory even if his champion pool is not necessarily ideally suited to the current meta? The answer is no. They actually have no coordination. And with 100 Thieves, but I really dislike 100 Thieves because I feel like, first off, I didn't even think that, if I'm being honest, that we should have been seeing Quid as MVP of Spring.
Not my MVP. Where's Inspired? Stolen from Inspired.
I do think it kind of was. And then
People
on top of that,
Inspired. That's what it is. People just hate Inspired.
I wonder why. Yeah, he has such good PR when he does interviews on stage.
So, I mean, I think like, on an individual level, because people got hyped over 100 Thieves, like, oh yeah, Sniper with this weird champion pool, he's getting the 1v1s. Meanwhile, nobody just pays attention to this fact that this guy can't actually press a teleport button to save his life or his teammates' lives in most cases. Teleports to the weirdest spots on the map, shows up 10 seconds late for any team fight, does nothing in these games. They have no sense of macro. Ayla is a fucking bum. Get this guy out.
Damn.
Like, I am so sick of this guy being on teams in the LCS, and I can't watch. This team is like unwatchably bad when it comes to macro, and now they don't even have the laning strength to make up for it. Like, it feels like they're even playing into the wrong styles these days.
When I hear this, it's like, how can that be one of your points when Vitality is the other team? Because Vitality might be the worst macro team in the world. And I am being serious about this.
I agree. Look, I picked these teams because it's just an interesting debate, right?
Like, Vitality...
It's interesting about, like, who's more in the mud.
To me, it's Vitality. I think for 100 Thieves, there's a reason why this team is bad macro-wise, right? You have a rookie top laner, a rookie AD carry. Rivers can't do all of it himself. Like, he can't macro the whole team himself. Quid is relatively young. They're like a young mechanical team that's a little stupid. Happens. Like, that's just kind of how shit is. Why is Vitality so stupid? Why is Vitality so bad? Do you see how they lost that game? Like, number one, maybe I'm pissed because I lost money on that fucking game. That game versus SK, do you see how they lost it? They had 2 inhibs down. Baron is spawning in 1 minute. They can just save their ults, save Aurelion Sol, Big R, save their flashes, and they can just guaranteed win a fight on Baron. 2 inhibs are pressing anyway. Even if they were going to do the top dive play, they did it not on the correct wave. The wave you do that on is the wave where your bot lane is crashing into their Nexus turrets. When you have the 2 super minion waves, you wait for those to crash. This is like basic macro from like season like 2, like literally season 2 people realize this, where it's like you have to wait for those minions, and then the enemy team has to make a choice. Do they respond to the bot lane that's pushing, or do they defend the turret? If you want to pull the trigger, at least pull the trigger on the next wave, the wave that is actually crashing into their Nexus turrets, because then even if you lose the fight, you're probably getting Nexus turrets, or you get a 4v5 because somebody has to defend. The fact that they lost the game using Aurelion Sol big ult 1.5 minutes before the Baron spawns, and then they lost the Baron fight and lost the game when they had 2 inhibs down. If they win that game, they're just in playoffs. Their whole year is done. These guys have 6 months off because of that game. I cannot believe that they played this game so terribly macro-wise. Like the fact that they were up 2 inhibs and they lost is absolutely insane to me. I can't understand it.
Yeah. Even in the G2 series, just the player that you didn't touch on here, Monty, was Hilly, and we know the highs
Yep.
that Hilly can bring, but he's
Very
bringing
few
the
this year.
height of the lows this year. Like in the game against G2, they died bot, which then meant G2 had tempo to go dive top, and then they could invade Linces, and then there was the Karthus just never had time to scale, and that was because Hilly, your stud star player who's won multiple different championships in the regular championship era with Fnatic, just ints on Alistair or whatever the fuck it was. It's just like, you gotta know better. I
mean, Hilly just inted like for a full year straight, pretty much. He actually just
I understand.
Mercilessly for a full year.
He was creating space in the calendar for a 6-month vacation.
Yeah.
6 months of space for Carzzy. I got you, dog.
That was fucking crazy, that tweet from Pad. The creating space where he pretty much just called like everyone an idiot. Like everyone was like, hey, Hilly's like inting quite a bit, and he's like, man, like you guys just don't understand the super high level that Hilly's operating at. Like he's got everything calculated. It's like he's running it down. Like he's literally dying for no reason. And now this guy like just has 6 months off. I mean, maybe from a coach perspective, sounds pretty nice. Like I'm not sure what the bonuses are like for a coach, but you probably get paid pretty well for, like, if you consider having 6 months off, like that contract is probably pretty nice. Like 6 months of work.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, look, Mac just
chilling.
had a kid. He just got a second paternity leave. That's really impressive.
Nice.
Good on Mac. I really like Mac, but that's
We all
not
like
really
Mac.
Well, okay. Decision time. Who you keeping? Who you kicking?
I kick
Monty,
100
let's start
Thieves.
with you.
I'm tired of these. I'm tired of these bums. They're
so
like,
young, man. Okay, Sniper's so young, man. Sniper's young.
I mean, obviously we kick both of them, but it is kind of, look, I don't understand. Like, at what point does Sniper, like, where can you guys tell me, where is the line that we draw where Sniper must learn how to use TP by? Where is it? Where's that line?
1.5 next split.
I'll give him second year. I think rookie year.
Okay.
He showed me enough problem. Like, okay, he bought enough time with his performance in spring that he gets at least,
all right, that's fair,
until like he gets rostered for year 2 for sure, right? And then if he starts like mercilessly running it down, then it's like, okay, maybe we have to do something. But I mean, he was solo killing everyone. He literally was just solo killing
That's
the entire
true.
fucking roster of LCS.
but they weren't winning a lot of those games, right?
But isn't that the type of player that every coach has wanted? It's give me the dumb kid with great hands, right?
That's what. Yes, that's what most people look. We're not getting a sheer over here. There's no sheer in our system. We don't have like a 13-year-old that has like insanely good macro and fundamentals.
What? Sheer isn't 13. I have been told he is 17.
Well, he's 18 technically. If you're going by that, he's actually 18. But look, all I'm saying is
I've been told he's 18. Definitely not 13 or 14 years old.
Look, the thing that saves it is that he's kind of tall. He's probably like 5'10", 5'11", so he's kind of like, he'd be a tall 13-year-old. That's part of it. But like, one thing I've noticed, this might be a conspiracy theory, is that he didn't play the series that JDG had during the week. And then on the weekend, he got to play because school was off, I guess. So he was able to play on the weekend. That's what I've noticed. Like Friday, Saturday,
I'm all
Sunday,
for sheer conspiracy theory. By the way, these are my favorite.
He's actually really fucking good. I hope they use him for the rest of the year instead of Flandre.
Conspiracy theory? Anyone?
Yep.
Shiracy theory.
Yeah.
We can
I like it.
that could be like a quick weekly check-in.
Shiracy theory.
Yeah. I got you. All right. Well, wait. So dumb. Who are you kicking?
I'm kicking Vitality. I can't
we'll split.
watch them play. I can't watch them play. Like it's so frustrating. The thing about Vitality is I think every player on the team, besides like I think Linsus is also good. So I think every player on the team at some point I thought was like a good player. So watching them get 9th place in LEC, and this is like the weakest split of LEC
It's very
almost
confusing.
ever. Like the fact that this team can't get it together. Karzi's good. Like Vetio, it's getting a little ridiculous. At some point, you're gonna have to start winning because it's now what 4 years and he hasn't won a best of 5. In 4 years, he hasn't won a best of 5. Like at some point, you're no longer a young player. Like Vetio still has that vibe where everyone considers him kind of a young player. Like in people's mind, he's a young player, but he is pretty much a mega veteran at this point.
Who in LCS history would you compare that to? Like someone who's just been a beast but never could get over a playoff hump.
Like never win in playoffs, like never win a best of 5.
Yeah. Do we have anyone like that? It would be best of 3 if we go all the way back, but
Yeah. Trying to think.
I feel like there was one that I it slipped my mind and I thought maybe you would know, or either one of you, Monty, as well.
Sorry, I didn't catch that.
An example of a VTO earlier in like earlier league, someone who's been so dang dominant, and we know that he can be good, and he's won MVP, but never could get past like the playoff hump. Good player, bad team.
Trying to think of players that like really broke out very early on, but they didn't have, repeated success.
I mean, 4 years is a long time. Like
It is.
not
I
being
mean,
able to-
the thing about Mad Life is Mad Life had a very high, but he was on still pretty good teams that were contenders at least for a long time after that. I mean, Flame might be one, honestly, like an MVP level player who dropped off and never really came back afterwards.
Well, he went to NA.
Eventually.
Yeah.
have we had a player that hasn't won a best of 5 in 4 years that like was making playoffs and like was really hyped? Like that just seems crazy to me.
Maybe
I mean, a
not
single
even
one even in the first round, but that is pretty wild.
Yeah, I was gonna say maybe they've won one, but like just that player that had that almost their monkey on the back, like their regular season god or whatever, and they couldn't get it done until eventually they did, maybe, or they won one.
The thing is, not winning the title is one thing, but not even winning in the first round of playoffs is entirely different, right? That's really hard to replicate, I think.
Yeah.
Lots of good discussion here in the chat. So for our friends at home, give us an example of a player that you're like, dang, that guy was so good, flash in the pan. If only he had a good team, and then never came out after that. Oh, you know what? I think I have it now for LCS. Who is all pro LCS jungler? I ran into him.
Were you gonna say
Korea.
Lyra?
I'm gonna say Lyra. That's right. I ran into
Yeah,
Lyra.
I thought about Lyra, but I mean, didn't he make Worlds? Like
he did make Worlds with Clutch.
Yes.
Yeah, I
they
mean,
did very badly, but they also had a very hard group.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it was that kind of player, and he did eventually make it. So I don't know. Let us know in the comments below who you think is that kind of player that had a lot of talent but couldn't get themselves over the hump. I'd appreciate it. And while you're there, like and subscribe here to Last Free Nation, and of course check out all of our channels across Last Free Nation. Monty just did his review on. Monty, what was the movie review you're doing on Culture right now?
Madam Web is coming up, but we just did the Boys.
Oh, you're gonna do Madam Web?
I watched this. It's so fucking bad, Digon. I watched it the other night. So yeah, it's bad.
Oh, I found my terrible movie, by the way. My terrible movie that I like.
Yes.
I mean, it was a while where I like, because I don't watch many movies. Undercover Brother.
No!
There you go. Okay, that's a good one.
But that's a great bad one. That was.
So you know what's so weird? So recently something came up, and I watched it again on like Saturday because like it came up, and I was like, and Rachel had never seen that movie before. I'm like, okay, we have to watch this movie. So we sat down, and it is such a tough watch, but it's also like so funny at the same time. Just like it's like funny out of like the badness and like just how how society was back in like the early like 2000s. Like just even like all the jokes at the end are just like they're great. Dave Chappelle, whatever. But I'm like, wow, this movie probably got absolutely rolled by critics. Critics probably like bombed this movie. I looked on Rotten Tomatoes, it was like 78% from critics. Like I was like, what the fuck? Like, is this? Because I've had movies that I thought were like really good movies be super low on Rotten Tomatoes, where I'm like, how the fuck is it like so like how like no one likes this movie? And then Undercover Brother was just rocking a 78.
Wait, I just looked this up. The guy who wrote Undercover Brother also wrote 12 Years a Slave.
What? What the
fuck? Range, man. That's actually some crazy range. He won an Academy Award for that.
Oh my God.
Maybe it is actually good, Dom. I've never seen this Undercover Brother.
You've never seen Undercover Brother?
You've never seen Undercover
I have not.
Brother?
No, I'll watch it. Man. I'll watch it.
Wow.
You gotta watch Undercover Brother.
This feels like if you don't love me, or if you love me at my 12 Years a Slave, you better love me at my Undercover Brother.
Also, the other writer wrote Austin the two Austin Powers sequels. So I'm actually kind of into this movie now. I'll watch this one.
the zingers are good. This is White She Devil and mayonnaise and all that stuff. It's a good one. Now that you brought it up, I'm looking in the comments back there. The Three Musketeers, the Three Musketeers, 1993 is a masterpiece. Is one of the comments.
Dude, I did not expect the All for Love stands to come out.
Yes.
That was like the last thing I expected.
Yeah. Degon is goated for the rom-com meta. That's right. Yeah. So again, that was pretty good. Again, if you like this stuff, head on over to Last Free Nation Culture, and you can go watch Foreplay as the guys will review their movies. And we're gonna get Monty now to talk about Undercover Brother on there. It's done. Boom.
No, I actually the one I ended up picking was the one we ended up picking for me was The 13th Warrior, which is also a movie that I love, but will be ripped apart by my co-host on that show. So,
all right. Well, now that you've done that, it's time for me to tell you about my favorite. Let's see. My favorite break from terrible solo queue experiences. That's right. And to help you save money. All right, listeners. Here's some food for thought. Is there anything better than saving money? Of course there isn't. Because this episode of Power Spike is brought to you by McDonald's. We think that the feeling is right up there with beautiful weather, a good night's sleep, and I don't know, your solo queue teammates actually letting you take the blue or red buff based on what position you play. And when it comes to saving money, one of the easiest ways to do that is our love for McDonald's app, the McDonald's app, and saving money in the McDonald's app. The McDonald's app constantly has amazing deals like free medium fries or even sometimes quarter pounder with cheese. BOGO deal. Downloading the McDonald's app is a no-brainer because you can get a new deal every single day. What could be more fiscally responsible than that? And y'all, you don't even have to tell the cashier about it. You just show them, because one of our viewers was like, hey, I'm here for the Last Free Nation McDonald's app hookup. And she did not know what they were talking about. So you could just do it without even saying it. Just get the app. Look what deals are in there, and you could get yourself
Get points too for free stuff later. You could order ahead. So the app is great, guys. Go to the App Store, download the McDonald's app, enjoy.
There you go. Hey, make sure you save money every day with the McDonald's app. Thank you, McDonald's, for powering Power Spike and Last Free Nation. That's so cool, dude. It's just the coolest, man. I love it. I love it. All right, let's go ahead and move on to what is our last one of the day. It's time for the Galaxy Brain Club. As you know, you come to Power Spike to get the global world of League of Legends. So it's time to pick our MVPs, predict our MVPs of each major region, the LPL, LCS, LEC, and LCK. Let's get into it this week's Galaxy Brain Club. All right, Monty, let's start, since you were so adamant about how much you dislike watching the current MVP of LCS. Let's start in the LCS. Where do you think the MVP is going to end up at the end of the split?
I actually don't know with this one. All right. Well, based off of current performances, man, it's like it's so hard because I feel like there hasn't each of the even the good teams has stumbled a little bit, right? Like you look at Team Liquid's performance, and for the first few series, I would be like, oh yeah, Impact, he's performing really well, but then he had some bad plays versus 100 Thieves. Where do you really go with this? I'm still gonna stick by Impact for the time being, but some of the plays Team Liquid was making that 100 Thieves games like made me sad with them like trying to contest Baron Vision while he didn't have TP up was like pretty gross to watch. But is that his fault or is that his team's fault? I don't really know. He's picked up, the Mordekaiser. I mean, Mordekaiser was always one of his picks, right? But he's picked up the 369 Mordekaiser Skarner counter that's been sweeping around the world recently, so that's been fun to watch. But he's been really solid, I think, from the few games that have been played right now. You look at other players that have been really like instrumental, and I think you have to look at Inspired again to a certain degree. My problem with Inspired is that he actually is not, he's kind of a vegan on the Karthus. Like he won't even flash in and die in some of these games. Like he won't actually go for, like, I'm not sure he knows Karthus passive exists, if I'm being honest. And so like some of his Karthus plays have confused me in his unwillingness to really commit to the fights and commit to the all-in, like wasting his flash trying to flash out, then dying anyway outside of range where he can actually do anything with Karthus passive. So, do you pick somebody on Cloud9? Like, I don't know. I think LCS is quite challenging, but Impact is my leader for the moment.
You had a couple of good points there. Inspired is actually just being a KDA player because what we've learned is KDA stats and also publicity and marketing gets you there, right? That's why I think Quid
gets you bigger contracts than LCS. I can tell you that.
Yeah, definitely does. So
hey, APA just signed a new multi-year deal with Team Liquid. Was it because he's the best mid laner in the league? You decide. Although he is he actually is maybe an MVP candidate right now, honestly.
Yeah, well, that's mainly because Team Liquid had to get him before my man wins MVP, because that's my pick for MVP. You see him? He's 30% damage share for the team, which is actually the highest out of all players at EWC this split. Like he has the highest
you say MVP
share.
Marketing valuable player because he's actually changed the entire marketing meta of the LCS to shit talking, which is great for him. And then he shit talks when they say that he then shit talks the league for shit talking, which is amazingly meta. I appreciated that.
Yeah, he was shit talking when they were both playing
he
poorly.
Said that the focus to shit talking was cringe, which is great.
Yeah. He invented shit talking. That's what he learned.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's my pick. All right, Dom, who you got here for LCS?
Well, I mean, I was gonna actually go with Impact as well. Like, I think that Impact is probably gonna be the one that ends up getting it because he's like, has he won an MVP? I'm not even sure if he's won an MVP in the LCS. Like, and I feel like he's just been such a great player for so long, and he's having like a really good split. He's in the conversation. I feel like he'll get an MVP just because people are going to want Impact to have an LCS MVP. I mean,
he was first team All-Pro 2015 summer and 2019 summer. Then he was second team All-Pro 7 times, third 3 times, but he has never been MVP of LCS, which is kind of crazy if you think about it.
I feel like he'll just get it. Like, I feel like he needs an MVP. Doesn't Impact just need an MVP from LCS? Like, he's definitely had at least one split that you felt like he was the MVP. Not in regular season. That's the thing about Impact is he's not normally a regular season guy, but when it gets to playoffs, it's like there was splits where he was just absolutely like shutting shit down. It was just like, all right, Licorice is looking good. Oh shit, now we're in fucking playoffs. No, it's not anything anymore. Impact is just winning top lane perma.
Yeah, we kind of pushed this with the Keen Pain, right? And we all believed in Keen kind of like, getting his due and being great, and didn't quite work out last split, but now, he won his championship here with Gen.G. I think I'll change my vote if all of us go to Impact and we start the Impaction campaign right now, right? It's time to take action and have Impact win his first MVP. You heard it here first on Last Free Nation. Tell your friends, tell everyone, put it in the Discords, put it in Twitch chat. MVP for Impact, who's been a damn good servant and is helping, the boom boom damage for the young Americans on the TL squad. Yeah, let's go. Impact for MVP. Well, it starts here. All right. I like that one. Let's go next up to LEC. LEC summer playoff, I guess summer split MVP. Where are we going with this one?
It's hard because I feel like it's definitely going to be somebody on G2. They just haven't shown up yet. And we've only seen this like rather kind of up and down performance. Like I would be surprised if this doesn't end up being, Caps probably. But I will say that if we're just taking into consideration the matches that's already been played, maybe Irrelevant actually has kind of a shot at this.
I'll take Rahel. I feel like
That's
Rahel, if you want to say like most valuable, I mean, he's added so much to this team. Like having a good mechanical AD carry, I mean, he's looked like, I don't know, I mean, if he's not the best AD carry in the league right now, he's top 2, I would say, out of everyone. So this guy looks good. And I think he's added so much to this SK team. I mean, they were literally winning 3 games a split without him and Luan. They added him, and it's just like having an AD carry that actually just doesn't and can carry some fights and is good mechanically. It's completely changed this team. So I'll go him. Or
Leaper? Question mark.
I might go. Look, I saw that recently. People were saying like, oh, like those posts about LEC dying, and now I found out today that LEC summer viewership is actually up 29%, which means that maybe Kameto and Ibai are the MVPs. They get a co-MVP of the LEC. Congratulations to those guys. They're carrying.
I just credit to Riot Games for figuring out that fandom is actually necessary to run an esports league. So I would encourage maybe some of the other teams to develop a fandom, or maybe they should have worked on franchising teams that had fandoms in the first place. I don't know.
The Golden State Warriors had a pretty big fan base.
Of League of Legends players? Of League of Legends fans?
Yeah, I think I'd go for Broken Blade or Hans. I think it's one of those two that shows up here and gets the MVP. I think Broken Blade has played so many damn champions this split, and he's grown so much. Like just when you think about his career as a player, another top laner that's grown so much. I think he won the spring. Was it the spring playoff MVP? Yeah, I think he won spring finals MVP, but I think a season MVP would be pretty great. But yeah, those would be my 2 picks. And then Hans has done a ton of damage. Again, damage share this split, and just looks a lot more comfortable playing the Caitlyn in goofy games and still dishing out a ton of damage. All right, let's move.
I mean, Rahel getting rookie and MVP would be pretty hype.
That would actually, yeah, that'd be cool too. All right, let's move to LPL. And this one, Dom, you take it away. Lead us here. Who do you think is the MVP of this? And we're not even halfway through the split, but yeah.
Yeah, I think that it'll probably end up going to Kanavi. Kanavi is like just somebody who I think he'll have like a lot of really dominant showings because his team plays through him consistently. And then this is a meta where jungle carrying is actually, it's something that carries a lot of games. And if you look at Kanavi normally, like the amount of game MVPs this guy has is actually insane. Like this guy normally ends up I think what did he do last split? Let me check. I think he had like 15 MVPs last split in individual games. I mean, this guy when JDG wins
3 right now in man of the match.
Yeah, he had 14 in spring, and I think that as he starts playing some of these better teams, like his team will live and die by him, and that will just make him the MVP because they'll be one of the best teams in LPL.
Yeah, I think other candidates like Shanks is one too, because Shanks has been like his improvement in performance has been the linchpin. But the thing about Anyone's Legend is that it really is like a team effort for them. And like a lot of their strength comes around teamwork and macro. So maybe
they have the best coach in the league.
Sure,
my goat, Tabe.
Exactly. So some of that probably comes from, is he the individual standout player? But I think in this meta, and it depends on how long this like jungle carry meta persists, right? The question will be, does it persist through the entirety of regular season? I have a feeling we've got probably a few more weeks left of this, depending on, how Riot chooses to patch. But it is a very unusual meta to be lasting for a long time in League of Legends historically. So I don't think Riot likes it when the game is like this, because they've had plenty of times to do this in the past, and we've seen like the meta, be patched out of like carry AP junglers repeatedly. Like they do not seem to like it when this happens. And also it creates a lot of other balance issues in the game. Like we get this AD mid meta with like Corki Tristana that is pretty fucking boring at this point in time. So that's going to go away too, which then affects the ability to play AP jungler. So it's all connected to each other. But I just don't think Riot fundamentally is like, yeah, I really want Nidalee, Karthus, Zyra brand jungle meta. Like I don't think that's what they're into.
Also, it's one of the worst metas for T1. So we can't have that. Like, we can't have Faker like playing AD mids. We've seen enough of his Tristana. We've seen his Corki play versus Showmaker dying level 1. I think he actually DC'd in that one. It was really unlucky. No remakes there.
He just walks getting DDoS on stage.
He just walked up and just autoed the other guy to death. And he just, I don't know. He just DC'd. So yeah, I mean, look, T1, they need the Rel jungle back. They need playmakers for owner. Get us out of this AP jungle and AD mid meta, please.
Bin would be another one. I think that's pretty far up in terms of individual performances right now. So I would say like Kanavi, Bin, Shanks. These would be kind of my leaders for MVP at the current point in time.
Can I offer you again in an APA like branding fashion that people love, and he's winning solo player awards, a rookie MVP? If NIP make the run, it's gonna go to him.
I don't know, dude. Rookie's had some bad games too. That's the thing, is like it's been inconsistent for Rookie. That's why. If he goes on another tear, maybe.
He's been a LeBlanc one trick. Like, I don't know. Like, that's his
first pick LeBlanc, dominate the game, and then Fearless Draft takes it away from him.
They just beat one LeBlanc. I don't know.
All right. I tried Rookie fans. Or we could give it to Scout, most valuable player, because he's playing badly so that he comes back to Korea. It's been very interesting to watch. We've talked about it in LCK.
I mean, Xiaohu might also be in the award for that.
Maybe he wants to go back to Korea as well. Who knows?
First Chinese player to play an LCK.
Yeah.
That'd be cool. All right. Those are our LPL picks. Now let's move to LCK. MVP picks here.
Canyon. Look, the thing about Canyon right now when it comes to LCK is like he is both a very high resource jungler, but he is doing almost 25% of his team's damage as a jungler, and he's taking all the farm as well. So he's like high resource, high damage, and his Zyra play has been great. Now, obviously, Chovy is an excellent player, but I mean, it's pretty clear right now that they're playing around Canyon's jungle pool and his ability to do these ultra fast Zyra clears directly into ganks. He is the main character at this point in time of Gen G, which I will say is surprising, because look at last season, he was just Maokai Sejuani 24/7. So Canyon really feels like he's integrated in the team very well at this point in time. They're very flexible in terms of their play styles, and Canyon, I think, is the clear front runner in LCK at the moment. Now, we have to wait for this to go through the entirety of the split, right? And I think it's pretty easy to see a world where Chovy overtakes later on. But Canyon right now he's not only the main character of Gen G, he's the main character of LCK, for sure.
Tom.
Yeah, for LCK, I'm not sure who gets MVP. I think it's like pretty hard. I feel like it's somebody on Gen G. It just depends on who's performing better at the moment. I mean, if the meta does change, I guess it'll just go to Chovy. I mean, I still think Chovy is the best player in the LCK. So, even though he's not playing like insane God mode right now, I feel like Chovy doesn't go into God mode when he doesn't need to. Like when I've watched him play, a lot of times he goes into God mode by necessity, where it's like his teammates are running it down. It's like, all right, get the fuck out of the way. Give me the fucking side lane for 20 minutes. We're fighting third Drake. I'm going to kill everyone. Like that's his mentality. So, yeah. I feel like Chovy is still always MVP material.
That's funny. It reminds me of like they show videos of Messi. He does a ton of walking in games. He actually doesn't run that much, but when it's time to sprint, he sprints. And I feel like that's the same thing as Chovy right there. But I do think this split's MVP goes to Canyon because of the Nidalee meta, and we basically have Canyon's Nidalee and everyone else's across the world. And that's how it's been. That's how dang good he is at it. And I think because it's been meta altering now for almost half the split, that's what people are going to remember as Gen G go undefeated and will beat everyone and not drop a game. So that's the best bet. All right. Well, there we have it, y'all. That is those are our MVPs. If you guys have MVP candidates that we didn't discuss, let us know in the comments and we'll make sure to get at it next episode. And also, that concludes this episode, y'all. We did it again. Multiple different time zones yet again.
We're back on the normal schedule next week.
Yeah. Hopefully you've enjoyed this flight. Again, sorry about the mic quality. I couldn't bring it on the plane. It was I was pretty heavy. What do you guys have this week? A break?
Yeah, kind of. I will just start with LPL. I mean, LPL starts back up in like 2 days. So like we're gonna be starting here soon.
Yeah. Monty?
Summoning Insight, baby, later today, live. So we'll be doing that. And then I'll be doing probably some VOD reviews of esports World Cup games.
All right. And then, of course, I'll be here at Esports World Cup, and then we'll be back next week for more Power Spike action. Thank you, everyone, for watching, and we'll catch you again next episode. See ya.